time for the Morning Watch with host Reverend Dr. Darren Toussaint.
Listeners to Love 101 FM are advised that the views and opinions expressed in this program are not necessarily those of Love 101 FM.
Hello and welcome to the Morning Watch on Love 101 FM. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint. A special welcome to our listeners on love101.org. And if you're overseas and on the move, U.S. listeners can access us at 712-832-8001. And if you're in the UK, 0330-332-6541. Or join us via the Love 101 FM app that can be downloaded from the Google Play Store or the Apple Store. You can also join us on Love 101 FM Facebook and the YouTube Live. In the first watch today, online schooling, kudos and concerns. In the second watch, poverty, society, and the church. For our social media question, we ask, what are your solutions to the problems of online schooling? Please share your responses on our Facebook page, Love 101 FM, and also on WhatsApp, 876-997-3125, using the hashtag The Morning Watch. We'll share your responses later on in the program, but before all of that, here's I quote.
This morning's I quote, "A friend is someone who thinks you're a good egg, even though you're slightly cracked." Okay.
Good morning, Shivani.
Good morning, Greg. How are you?
You're doing well, based on this quote,
Yeah.
I wonder what that friend should think if his or her friend is not slightly cracked, but severely cracked.
Right.
What should she or you think?
I don't know.
Not an egg, but a scrambled egg. A scrambled egg. Oh, that sounds.
That sounds fine.
All right. The first watch will be back after this break.
Between 2015 and 2020, there were 74,455 reports of child abuse in Jamaica. January to June 2021, 1,203 reports of sexual abuse, 1,465 reports of physical abuse, 2,528 reports of neglect. Report child abuse. Call 211.
It's time again for vacations, getaways, business meetings, and conferences. Visit Glenrock Hotel Limited. Hospitality at its best. Relax, refocus, and regroup. New renovated, breathtaking rooms from cozy deluxe to bridal suites. Wake up to a warm continental breakfast on the house to get your day started. Sensational Zircon Green Gardens and Mars Boutique for souvenirs. Glenrock Hotel. New experiences on the Rock. 5 Greenvale Road, Mandeville. 876-613-3588 or 864-3626. Below Mega Mart.
I am Elaine Thompson here, and I work hard to deliver winning performance just like Flow. Working hard to deliver fiber-fast performance in your home and savings on your phone.
Elevate your home internet with Flow fiber-fast technology, and you can unlock 50% savings off your mobile plan every month. Simply join your mobile with your home internet. No deposit, no contract, and a predictable mobile bill. Get winning performance that saves. Visit discoverflow.co or your nearest Flow store to sign up today. Conditions apply.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint. Now, for some, it's a ridiculous requirement and should be done away with. For others, it is quite in order and worthy of commendation. That is the wearing of uniforms for online classes. Well, recently, the Gleaner reported that a student from a high school in St. Mary was barred from her online classes because she did not have her uniform. This, however, is hardly the only concern persons seemingly have with online schooling, and hence our discussion this morning as we examine the kudos and concerns associated with online schooling. And in so doing, we have online Mrs. Hilary Morgan, acting principal of the Manchester High School, and Miss Constance Correa, principal of the Waterford High School. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning, sir.
Morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Good to have you both with us. How are you both doing?
I'm fine. I'm good. And good morning to my colleague.
Good to have you on. All right. Is Mrs. Morgan on still?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, good. Good to have you both. Well, ladies, before we delve into the meat of our discussion, tell us a little bit about your respective schools in terms of numbers of students vis-a-vis teachers and the demographics in regards to the student population. Beginning with you, Mrs. Morgan.
Thank you, sir. Once again, I greet you, and I wish to also say good morning to the listeners. My school is situated in Mandeville, Manchester. It has a student population of, regularly, we are 1,820. Last year, based on the rigors of what was taking place or what continues to take place, we had registered 1,795 students. We have 91 teachers and staff. We do expect good behavior from our students, whether they are online or in the physical space. Yes, there have been adjustments as a result of the pandemic, as a result of the fact that our students have been accessing teaching and learning from home. Irrespective of that, though, we continue to encourage good behavior, good standards. I do not know if you want me to speak yet about the uniform matter, but I will wait until you prompt me to do so.
Yes, we're coming to that. All right. Miss Correa, want to tell us about your school dynamics, demographics, teachers, vis-a-vis students?
All right. So we are Waterford High, the school of choice in Portmore. We have 85 academic staff, and we have about 1,300 students currently. In terms of the online, we are getting on. We have perhaps about 50%, a little bit over 50% online. We are growing every day. Teaching and learning is taking place, and school is in.
Okay. I take it that both your schools have been conducting online classes for a number of months now. How has this been in terms of involvement and impact, positives and negatives? Back to you, Mrs. Morgan.
Thank you, sir. Yes, we have been one of the schools early out of the block as it relates to online classes at the start of the pandemic. And so we continued to refine what we do over the months of the first year when the pandemic struck. And last year, we also went right ahead with what we had refined. For this year, yes, we continue to offer teaching and learning online as we await what the government will say in terms of return to the physical space. We continue to keep our space ready. As it relates to online teaching and learning, yes, we do our very best to ensure that our students are engaged. We have varying levels of student response and also teacher response. Our students, for the most part, have tried to be in the space to attend the class. Yes, we do have some students who will be naughty and will actually turn on their device but not be anywhere near to it. We do have those, and we have been trying to reach them and trying to encourage them via various meetings and reaching out to them and telephone calls and so on. But for the most part,
Yes.
most of our students are attentive and desire to learn. Our teachers continue to try to be in the space. We encourage our teachers, once you are experiencing difficulties from home, to deliver your lesson, and it is not a lockdown day, make it to campus, where we will provide you with the internet connectivity so that you can deliver the lesson.
So what percentage of your students are online then, Mrs. Morgan, would you say?
Well, last year we went up to as much as 90% on occasions. This year, because we do not yet have 6B online, our highest record so far of the 1,600 that would have been expected to be there without the sixth form, we would have had up to 80% of them.
All right, Miss Korea, tell us what's happening over there at Waterford in regards to the impact, involvement, positives and negatives.
All right. So as I would have said, we have over 50% in online school. The teachers are really doing a fabulous job. They are working in a very new environment in terms of online. The students are also adapting well to the online environment. And as we move along, we recognize that we get better and better at this. I have seen where, despite the fact that we're online, teachers are doing practicals, teachers are showing students. There was one teacher in particular, my electrical teacher, Miss Kirby, who was wrapping electrical wires online. And so I think teaching and learning is going on in as best as it possibly can. I really must commend my teachers for that. One of the concerns that I have is that perhaps about almost 50%, let's say about 40-something% of my students are not online. And that is of grave concern to me, because you know that we don't get the sharpest needle in the pack. And so we have to work extra hard to ensure that our students leave the secondary level with something that they can either work with, enter into tertiary institutions or into training institutions. So we are really concerned about the 40-something% that is basically not online. Overall, outside of the fact that we have students who are not online, teaching and learning is taking place in very creative manner. Some teachers come into school sometimes, perhaps they might have electrical or internet issues, and so they come in. Some teachers also prefer to work from school. I work from school. I was always there. I've never really left. So some teachers work from school because it's a little bit easier. And I think it sort of helps in the work-life balance, because when you come to school, at the end of the school day, you can go home, and home is still home. Because since the pandemic, for the most part, it is very difficult for teachers and just persons in general to kind of do that work-life balance, because work is now in the home. But generally and overall, we're doing pretty well.
Okay. All right. We're on to a break. Ladies, please hold your thoughts. We'll be right back.
Between 2015 and 2020, there were 74,455 reports of child abuse in Jamaica. Report child abuse. Call 211.
The time brought to you by Child Protection Services is
7:15.
Jamaica's gangs are like packs of rats. They live in filth and try and drag us all in there with them, spreading the disease of violence and corruption everywhere. But like a pack of rats, they can be eliminated with your help. If you have information on gangs, call Crime Stop on 311. This message is brought to you by Crime Stop and their marketing partners, Lime and NCB.
Hey, what if you were in a car accident? How much and how long would it take to get you back on the road? At ICWI, your recovery is our priority. Comprehensive, complete, or newest policy offering bundles benefits like uninsured motorist protection, excess eliminator, alternative transportation, and more. Avoid unnecessary frustrations when it's time to claim. Ask about Comprehensive Complete from ICWI today. Click, call, or visit us for a free quote.
49 years later and still going strong, Under the Law helps you to know your rights and how the laws of Jamaica can help you defend those rights. The program is brought to you on Wednesdays by the Bank of Jamaica, building an inclusive economy. Under the Law, Wednesdays at 6:20 a.m., 2:35, 6:45, and 9:10 p.m. on Love 101 FM.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint. And in this, the first watch, we are discussing online schooling. And we have online Mrs. Hilary Morgan, acting principal of the Manchester High School, and Miss Constance Correa, principal of the Waterford High School. Ladies, welcome back.
Thank you.
All right, still with you. Yes, still with you, Miss Correa. In the aforementioned article, the student was reportedly barred from classes for not wearing her school uniform. What are your views on that incident as reported? And what are the online class policies of your school in that regard? And then I will ask Mrs. Morgan.
All right. Not having all of the information from all sides, I will not comment on the specific article in question. However, in terms of students in classes at Waterford, you are asked to open your camera, and this is a directive from the Ministry of Education, because we, as much as possible, try to follow the directive from the ministry. So students are asked to open their cameras because it allows for better interaction between the teacher and the student, similar to what's going on right now. Where you are seeing me and I'm seeing you, it allows for better interaction, and this facilitates teaching and learning much better. However, we are aware that the student's background is not necessarily conducive to the internet or the open classroom. So we ask students, we inform students that they are allowed to close their cameras if it is that the background does not allow for this visual.
Okay, so it's mandatory that they have their cameras on, but there are exceptions, you are saying?
No, it is not mandatory.
Okay.
There's a difference between it being mandatory and it is required. So you are in a classroom, you are supposed to be seeing your teacher and your teacher seeing you. And if it is that you are explaining a lesson, the teachers don't just want to hear the students. If you really want to know if the students understand the lesson, you also need to be looking for those visual cues. So the requirement for having your camera open is to ensure that when you are explaining a concept, the student, you can see whether or not the student is learning. Because for some students, they will not readily participate, especially because they are online. But when you are seeing them, then you can get an understanding as to whether or not they are learning. So it is required,
okay.
however, it is required bearing in mind that the student is home, and so the home situation may not necessarily be conducive to online.
So the experience,
sorry?
I'm sorry, the experience is that most of the students have their cameras on throughout the classes?
No, most students have their cameras closed. We see an improvement this year. Quite a bit of students are opening their cameras. But last year, for the most part, students have their cameras closed. And this year, most of the students have their cameras closed. However, we are seeing an increase in the number of students who keep the cameras open right throughout.
Mrs. Morgan, what's your experience over there in Manchester? Mrs. Morgan, she's with us. Mrs. Morgan, can you hear me? All right, we're not hearing her. We're not sure what's happening there. Let me continue with you, Ms. Correa. The attendance, how is that monitored? And what are the requirements in that regard? Because there are some students who, because of their devices, I gather they're unable to be on. Some people don't have the device at all. How is that dealt with?
Okay, so there are various modalities to learning. The online modality is one aspect. There is also radio. There's also printed material. So we have the majority of our students, over 50% in online. We have perhaps another 10% of our students who access via printed material. And in terms of the printed materials, what we did last year was that we had selected drop-off points where teachers go to these drop-off points. For example, Osemarty High School, the Catholic Church down by Christian Penn, Gregory Park Christian Penn there. And so the students come out and they pick up the printed material. And let us say they'd pick it up on a Monday. On a Friday, the persons would be back there and they would so the online material, the printed material is notes and worksheets. So they would pick up and they would drop off. Once we established that last year, what we are doing this year now is that the students actually come into school, pick up and drop off. And they have, so at the beginning of the week, they will come in, they will pick up, and at the end of the week, they will drop off. And they have this for all subject areas.
Okay. I gather Mrs. Morgan is back. Mrs. Morgan, are you with us?
Yes, I am, sir.
All right. Yeah. What at Manchester High in terms of the online class rules and regulations in regards to the videos being on? What's happening over there?
Okay. At the beginning of the last year, we had asked our students to have their cameras open. However, we received the correspondence from ministry saying that we are not to mandate such, and so where a student is delivering, the student is speaking to the teacher, we encourage them to do so. Otherwise, their cameras are, for the most part, off. We do encourage them to prepare themselves properly for school. So we talk to them about grooming and the dress. And so they are encouraged to wear their uniform or a house t-shirt or a white shirt or blouse, just so that in the event that the camera has to be open, they will be presentable. We have asked our parents to ensure that there is a corner of the house, a space in the house where the child or the student can sit without disturbance, where once the student needs to open the camera, it will not pick up household activities and persons will not be walking across the camera. And so we do encourage that. For the most part, most of our students have adhered to that.
So if they're not
uniform,
if they don't have their uniform on, what happens there?
Well, if the uniform is not worn, but what they're wearing is appropriate, we will dialogue with them about getting into the required gear that is either uniform or school t-shirt or a white top. We do not though suspend our students from class because we know that these are difficult times. So for the breach in attire, we will speak with them, but we have not debarred anyone from class for that.
Okay, and Miss Correa, you're not in your head. Same thing over at Waterford.
Yes, it is the same thing. The students either are in their uniform or they are in their school shirts or PE top. This is encouraged. We really don't have, for the students who are online, situations where the students are not properly attired, because the fact that they have so many options mean that if you're not in uniform, there is still something that is appropriate and appropriate wear. So we really don't have much of that problem. However, when we do have such problem, as Ms. Morgan would have articulated, we encourage the students because we need to recognize that they are still in school. And if we vary too much what school is, then we are going to find that that discipline, that structure that school provide might cause some issues and concerns for both students and parents, because school provide them with structure and uniform is part of that structure. So we have to, even for the mental space of the students, it's important for them to recognize and to be in that familiar space, that classroom space. And I believe that uniform does that. So we don't have much of a problem. However, when we do have instances where students are not appropriately dressed, they are spoken to. But as is the case with my colleague, the ministry would have provided a directive and we apply the directive. But you know that we have to have conversations with our students and with our parents to ensure that there is compliance, because we do live in a society that does not always follow the rules.
Yes. Well, we have about 2.5 minutes. Mrs. Morgan, recently there were news reports of online cheating with students paying thousands of dollars for essay writing services at Manchester High. What systems are in place to minimize such occurrences?
Okay. We have, as it relates to regular classes and assessments, we have used multiple methods of assessment so that there is just not one standard, so a student may regularly and easily go off to get that type of help. For our first term of last year, we used the approach of asking each child at lower school to do a portfolio as it relates to the content that would have been taught for that term. They would have had their regular monthly pieces and monthly test and midterm, but for the end of term, they had to present a portfolio. Yes, we know that persons could have cheated, but we appealed to the parents, we appealed to the students, and we trusted that they would have worked on their own. We also looked at the content that they presented. In dialogue with some of our parents, we have also determined that should we go that route again, we will also have a written segment of the portfolio that is done right in class time, which would mitigate against the large-scale cheating if that happens.
Okay. Let me see if I'm sorry. I just want to get Miss Correa's comment on that. We have half a minute. Miss Correa, how is Waterford High dealing with those situations?
We really don't have that issue in terms of students paying for their essays to be done. For one, the assessment is live. Those students have the option, if it is that they miss the class, to do the assessment again. One of the things that we encourage our teachers also is to not use the knowledge-based type of questions, but really to use questions at the higher level of the taxonomy, so that the student is more applying what is learned. However, for the how internal assessment is done, I believe that students using those online essay writing are more university and colleges rather than high school.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, ladies, for being with us this morning. We have to leave it there. Please have a productive day and all the best for the rest of the school year.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for having us, sir. Every blessing.
Great. Great. Listeners, the Morning Watch will return in just a moment.
Now with no processing fees and no down payment, it's time to open the door to your own sweet home. The time by JN Bank is
7:31 a.m.
Act now and register today with the Overseas Examinations Commission as a private candidate for CXC's January 2022 exams. Don't wait. Registration ends Monday, October 25, 2021. Call 876-618-3721 or email help@overseasexams.org.jm for details. The Overseas Examinations Commission, providing educational support for over 130 years with integrity.
Here's why you can't afford to miss the Morning Watch.
I love listening to the Morning Watch.
More than half of us agree it takes too much time to understand the nutrition facts panel. But we can quickly understand that 80% of deaths in Jamaica are caused by non-communicable diseases. Without knowing, we consume excess foods high in sugar, fats, and sodium, which can lead to obesity, type 2 diabetes, and hypertension. Especially now, we need warning labels on the front of our food packages to easily identify unhealthy foods. We support front of package warning labels. We're on the side of health. Join us. Give us octagonal, high in front of package warning labels. A message from the Heart Foundation of Jamaica and partners.
Here's a vaccination message from Love 101 FM. What is a vaccine? A vaccine is a type of medicine that stimulates a person's immune system to produce immunity to a specific disease, protecting the person from the disease. My name is Nicola Satchel-Smalling from Love 101, encouraging you to get vaccinated. Let's get vaccinated and get back to life.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint. Let's take a look at the newspapers to see what Jamaicans and others are saying and doing. In the Gleaner, eminent politicians, civil servants, top Heroes Day honorees. Also, Jamaica has lost an icon in Powell, says Hensel. We see also in the Gleaner, it was like prison. Ex-members say Pathway International was controlling, rating 1 million per week. And then in the Observer, councillor wants to tap into emergency funds for road repairs. Also, US Jamaicans say Colin Powell was a symbol of the successful immigrant story. And of course, still on that incident in St. James, woman says she saw fellow congregants' throat being slashed. Well, those are some of the major stories in our newspapers. Coming up next, we'll read some of the feedback from our Facebook and WhatsApp question. What are your solutions to the problems of online schooling? Please leave a comment on our Facebook page, Love 101 FM Jamaica, or WhatsApp 876-997-3125. We'll be right back.
This Testimony Tuesday, October 19, inside Alive 1 to 5. Stay tuned for another power-packed show with inspirational stories and island-flavored music. Stick around for Power Blast at 2 o'clock. 2:15 inside the evidence, we hear the powerful conversion testimony of Pastor Ricardo Edwards, who experienced transformation in a special way. Then at 3 p.m., we go behind the pulpit with Bishop Anthony Street, Senior Pastor of the First Assembly of God Church in Falmouth and General Treasurer for the Assemblies of God Churches in Jamaica. All this and more will come your way inside Alive 1 to 5 on the family station, Love 101.
Have some issues and concerns in your community that you wish could be attended to now? Want a platform to voice those concerns? This could be the place for you. Send your 30-second voice notes describing your issue to 876-997-3125. That's 876-997-3125. Be sure to type a voice for hope before sending the voice note. Then listen on Tuesday at 9:45 a.m. for a voice for hope. Share the concerns you have seen. You know that street light that has not been working for a long time, or your community has not had water for 2 weeks now? Yes, here's somewhere you can share it. And maybe, just maybe, we can get some love on your situation. Remember now, send a 30-second voice note describing your issue and type a voice for hope before sending your voice note to 876-997-3125. A voice for hope. It's a problem, and we need a solution now. Love 101 FM, the family station, bringing a voice to your situation.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. I'm your host, Toussaint. Let's now join Siobhan for a look at how our Facebook and WhatsApp friends answered today's question. What are your solutions to the problems of online schooling? Siobhan.
Well, I don't know. This is a solution, but this one says, last week I heard from myself a teacher telling a student to open her camera. Adds that a lot of parents they're not buying the uniform because it's online classes. Let me see if there's anything on the text line. No, not seen any here. All right, so I think that's the order of the day.
Talking about opening cameras, Siobhan, you haven't opened your camera this morning for me at all. You're not being a good student, you know.
Oh, I'm quite attentive.
Not being a good student. All right. I'll leave it at that. All right. Thank you, Siobhan, for reading those comments. Great. All right, listeners, as we segue into the second watch, last Sunday, October 17, was International Day for the Eradication of Poverty, under the theme, Building Forward Together, Ending Persistent Poverty, Respecting All People and Our Planet. And in his address, the UN Secretary General stated, and I quote, "Poverty is a moral indictment of our times. For the first time in 2 decades, extreme poverty is on the rise. Last year," he said, around 120 million people fell into poverty as the COVID-19 pandemic wreaked havoc on economies and societies. End of quote. So, what is the situation with poverty in our society today? And how does the church factor in the equation? Well, to answer these and other related questions, we have joining us online. Reverend Major Stanley Griffin, formerly of the Salvation Army, now Superintendent Minister of the Watsonville Circuit of Methodist Churches in Monique, St. Anne. And I'm not so sure if Deacon Peter Espeut is on as yet, but we will continue with Reverend Griffin until. Reverend Griffin, are you there?
Yes, good morning. Good morning to each and every one of you. It's a great day to be alive and also to be on your program.
Hey, good to have you with us, Major.
Thank you, sir.
Yes. But by the way, you are now in the Methodist Church, right? And
that is correct.
with the Salvation Army. Yes. What happened? I mean, you transitioned. Go ahead.
I completed one tour of duty, and that's great.
Yes.
I've served in the Salvation Army for almost 40 years.
Right.
And from retirement, I literally moved on to my roots, really. I'm from St. Kitts Nevis, and my background is really Wesleyan. So I've decided to give the end of my life and my days with the Methodist Church.
Very, very interesting. All right. Well, we're talking about poverty this morning, the society and the church. From your perspective, Major, what really is poverty? Isn't it based on where you live? And isn't it a subjective term? What do you think?
It depends. It depends. A lot of it has to do with your background, where you're coming from, where you were born, the situation you found yourself that was passed on from generation to generation. I speak from my own experience, having served in various countries around the Caribbean, and also in particular having served and lived in Haiti for almost 4 years, where I've seen poverty from a different level and sort of got an insight, understanding of what it really means to be poor. Our definition of being poor in the English-speaking Caribbean is totally different from the reality of being poor in Haiti, living off at least one meal, if you can get that one meal per day. So it all depends on your situation and where you are.
And in terms of Jamaica, you have worked in Jamaica for a number of years. But how widespread would you say poverty is in Jamaica?
It is widespread on different levels, in different areas. But the good thing about Jamaica is that the opportunities are available that parents and grandparents have used to utilize to help their children move out of poverty. And one of the biggest avenues they have used is education. And the church in particular, over the years, have tried to build healthy communities in impoverished areas, oftentimes through hands out or a one-time gift that do not at times have families. But in the beginning, it also provides working opportunities, and the church helps to build communities and help to eradicate poverty. Most of faith-based organizations are most often supported by the church and its congregants in such a way that it operates as an arm of the church. And there are various projects that have been successful throughout Jamaica that originated from the church. We even in my area, look at the pepper factory. The pepper factory, I was told that started from the women's ministries in Walkerswood Methodist Church. And so there are a number of stories and individuals who have been able to move out of poverty and help their family to move on from programs that the church have developed and so forth.
Okay. I gather that Deacon Espeut is on. Good morning, Deacon.
I'm not hearing you.
Yeah, Deacon Espeut. I gather that Deacon Espeut is on. Deacon Espeut, are you with us?
I have lost you there.
All right. I'm not hearing Deacon Espeut. All right. Major, are you still there? Major Griffin?
Hello.
Yes, Major, can you hear me? All right, we seem to be having some technical challenges this morning. Is Deacon Espeut, can you hear me? All right, tell you what, we're going to go to break, and then we'll be right back with the Morning Watch.
This is Love on a Wonder Family Station. It's 7:45.
When everything is unpredictable, you go for what you can trust. That's why investors turn to blue chip companies. Jamaica, like the rest of the world, is caught between two possibilities: economic success or struggle. Many blue chip companies have a record of strong financial performance. Investing in these companies gives investors sound value and supports businesses which play a role in sustaining economic balance.
Visit parita.com/opportunities for more growth coach insights.
Looking for a way to honor a loved one you've lost, to celebrate the treasured memories and express appreciation for the blessings they brought into your life? Well, now you have a place where you can come to pause, reflect, and celebrate those who came, cared, and shared. It's the feature called In Memory Of, aired right here on Love 101, the family station. Share your memories live, the pleasantries you mostly recall about your loved one who has passed. Make a booking. Call our sales office at 876-968-9596 or 876-968-9597. In memory of and Love 101. Death is not the opposite of life, only a part of it.
Yes, you are love. Excuse me, sir. How much patty you are buying?
Me no know.
Me think you should buy 5.
Why? Why me fi buy 5?
Cause Juicy Patty have a cheesy surprise.
When you buy any 5 juicy patties, you can cheese it up for free.
Yeah, all 5 patty full of cheese. And it's anchor cheese, you know. And did I tell you it's only for the month of October? So you better run go down there fast. Right now, cheese! Cheese it up. Upgrade 5 patties of cheese for free today.
With Juicy Patties. Conditions apply.
Boy, them healthcare workers are some real superhero, you know. No wonder how me can never repay them for them service.
Use the BIP Messenger app for salute to healthcare workers. You could win instant prizes from Digicel, like bill discount and more data.
Here's how you can enter. Download the BIP app. Go to the Discover section and search for the Healthcare Hero channel. Follow the channel and select Nominate. Upload a photo or video of the healthcare worker you admire the most and support their nomination by voting for them every day between October 26th and November 5th. Let's salute our healthcare heroes. Download BIP today.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint. And in this, the second watch, we are discussing the whole matter of poverty, the society, and the church. And we have online Major Stanley Griffin. And Major Griffin is the Superintendent Minister of the Watsonville Circuit of Methodist Churches in Monique, St. Anne. And I take it we also have online Deacon Peter Espeut, sociologist and development scientist. Welcome again, gentlemen.
Thank you.
All right. Who is that? Major?
Yes.
All right. Deacon Espeut, is he on?
I'm here.
Okay. All right. Well, welcome. Yes, welcome. All right. Deacon Espeut, in the first half of this second watch, we're looking at really is poverty and, you know, how widespread is it in Jamaica? You want to comment on that?
Well, there's been a survey of living conditions now going on for about 30, 40 years. The extent of poverty and the type of poverty has been tracked by Stanley. It's fairly well known that poverty is a long-standing problem in Jamaica. You could even say that it is systemic. Meaning to say that you can't really blame the one money for being poor. It is somehow the system that creates poor people. I'm certainly a believer of that. And therefore, one has to change the system that creates poverty. For example, the education system. When you have a person going to school for 9 years and still can't read and write, well, you have, if it's 1 or 2 people, you could say, well, it's their fault, them done. But when it's 40% and 50%, then there must be something wrong with the system that produces illiteracy. Also, it doesn't have to be just the government that does it. It could be the social system. It could be weak family structure. So people don't go to school 5 days a week. They go 4, maybe they go 3. They don't have anybody to help them with their homework at home. And so you could say that weak family structure. So poverty then is not the function of an individual. Find those poor people and work on them or give them something, and then they will cease to be poor. There has to be systemic change. My own church is committed to education, and we have several hundred schools in Jamaica. We're trying to up the standard of these schools. We are very watchful of how the education inspectorate evaluates our schools. And we're trying very hard to make sure that any child that goes to one of our schools is not left behind, is able to read and write, is able to graduate to high school. And we also operate some of the best high schools in the country. And this is not by accident. This is quite intentional.
Deacon, there are those who argue that the church has aided significantly in perpetuating the view that poverty is synonymous with humility and even spirituality. And they do so by saying that, persons quote scripture verses, blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. It's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter the kingdom of God. What are your views on that, Deacon? And then I will ask Major Griffin.
Well, I agree that the book from which you are quoting was produced by the church. I quite agree with you. The Bible came out of the church, and the Bible says those things. But I think we have to be careful also. You quote from Matthew, of course, blessed are the poor in spirit. Luke doesn't say that. Luke says, blessed are the poor, and leaves off the in spirit. And if we don't understand, this, of course, is the attitude reported by both Matthew and Luke. We have to understand, of course, poverty is something you choose, because we know that in the temptations in the desert, one of the temptations that Satan offered Jesus was wealth. And that wealth indeed can be an obstacle to holiness if a person is attracted, is captivated, is serving mammon rather than serving God. But poverty per se is not a virtue. What is a virtue is detachment from material things. And I think we misunderstand the message of Jesus if we believe that poverty is a virtue. I think part of the problem is that in Jamaica we are Old Testament people. The early Old Testament thought that wealth was a sign of God's favor and poverty was a sign of God's punishment. And that Old Testament idea, which of course went out, even in the Old Testament, the book of Job deals comprehensively with that subject. That in fact, the good may in fact suffer and the wicked prosper. And that is what the book of Job says. But of course, there's some Jamaicans who haven't got that message and are still in the Leviticus, Deuteronomy part of the Old Testament, where wealth is seen as a sign of God's favor and poverty a sign of God's punishment. And that is part of our problem. We're a fundamentalist country.
Let me bring in Major on this. Major, what's your take on that? Has the church contributed to the view that poverty is synonymous with humility and spirituality? Major Griffin? We're not hearing you, Major.
Hold on a minute.
All
Are
right.
you hearing me now?
Yes, you're hearing the Major. Go ahead. You heard my question, right?
It's our interpretation of scriptures, and sometimes it's taken out of context to suit our own personal ambition. I firmly believe that God bless us all with gifts and opportunity that if we use them in relationship with our connection with God, that and work hard, God will enable us to achieve what we ought to achieve. And we have had quite a lot of individuals who have been able to move out of poverty because of their connection and their teaching and from the church, where the church has helped. And over the years, the church has been an avenue used by many that have helped them to come out of poverty, right? So it all depends, but I do understand that in the early days, the church was the leading force in through their various educational programs, to their church programs, in building and helping individuals to lay the foundation in terms of developing and moving on. And you can see it. You can see it within the generations, through the days when we had trash houses, the days when the grandmothers stayed home and work in the field and send their grandchildren to school and push them through high school to get a proper education, and they come out and they in turn return the gifts of they have received through education to help their families move on. You know, so it's really a cycle that needs to be broken, and also the system needs to work towards the betterment of each individual.
Okay. Well, we have 2.5 minutes left. Deacon Espeut, what should we do as church more of? What are we not doing that we should begin doing in regards to relieving the situation of poverty?
Proclamation of the gospel is good news for the poor. The good news for the poor is not that they're going to become rich. The good news for the poor is that they are not barred from salvation because of their poverty. And that salvation is God's free gift to everybody, rich and poor. But the church has a responsibility to build the kingdom here on earth. And building the kingdom has been described in many ways. One way is that every tear will be wiped away, that the blind will see salvation. Army helps with that. The blind will see, the deaf hear, and basically the message of human development, that people who are disadvantaged can be advantaged. And so I believe the church must continue to work for development, human development, economic development, sustainable development, environmentally friendly development. And that is what will build the kingdom of God in Jamaica. What will build the kingdom of God here is when the poor are able to be attain a level of living that is fully human. And maybe the church has focused too much in the past on religious matters and not enough on development matters. There was a time when the Caribbean Conference of Churches and the Jamaica Conference of Churches worked hard. Maybe we need to redouble our efforts in the area of sustainable human development.
Okay. Major Griffin, half a minute.
Yeah, I think the church needs to continue to proclaim the gospel and the teaching of Jesus Christ in terms of loving your neighbors as yourself. And in loving your neighbors as yourself, we will be able to reach the unlovable, and also to share our resources. Because if you love your neighbors as how you love yourself, you would not do anything to make life difficult for your neighbor. You do everything to help your neighbor, even to give a helping hand to lift him up out of his situation.
Okay. All right, Major, we have to leave it at that. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us. Have a productive day, okay?
Okay.
All right. Thank you, listeners, for being with us. For information on to get copies of this program, call our production department at 876-968-9596-7. This has been the Morning Watch. I now hand you back to Love in the Morning with Siobhan Blair.
101, the family stations, 8 o'clock, folks, and it's time for the program Forward in Faith, brought to you by